Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Commanders Declassified podcast. I am Eric. I'm here with Mike. What's up, Mike? And we have a very special guest host. Oh, sorry. I've already interrupted you. I don't even know how to do this. Mike is here. We have a special guest, Eddie, from the Tell Me If I'm Wrong, Sports Conversations with Eddie and Mike podcast. You guys used to just be the Eddie and Mike podcast? Oh, go ahead.
Yes, we do conversations that revolve in and around sports. That is correct, sir.
Formerly the Eddie and Mike podcast, but they've gone upscale now. It's sort of like they're the Trader Joe's of podcasts now. Yes, when in doubt, pinky out, Mike. I like
it. See what you did.
Yeah, Ellie is out tonight. He's doing a modeling shoot for a very important before picture montage at a gym. You'll be specifically the before picture, from my understanding, but very important, very high paying gig. So we wish Ellie the best. Of course, I'm Eric. I guess I'll be handling the hosting duties tonight with Eddie and Mike here, and looking forward to it. We've got lots to talk about. We've got actual football to talk about, kind of. The OTAs and the rookie minicamp was over the weekend. I think OTAs started off this week as well. There's a controversial T-shirt topic to discuss. So very big news all around Commanders Nation tonight. Guys, what first of all, what's your impression of OTA, or I guess the rookie minicamp this weekend? Glowing reviews for a certain quarterback who took a number of a certain punter. What are your impressions of that, Mike? What's your opinion of the early returns on Jayden Daniels this weekend?
I try to take it with the biggest grain of salt that you can possibly have. One of those, I don't know, ocean grains or something. But I've heard good things, especially from Logan Paulson on the Take Command podcast. I mean, I just got to ask him, did he take Jayden Daniels out for dinner before the show or something? Because my goodness, he was all over that man. But I guess it's better to hear good news than bad news from any camp. I'm not going to say his name, but there is a pick in the top 5 that's been kind of looking not so hot in his rookie minicamp. And it's not even about it's not even about comparing the two, but like I said, it's good to hear good things from Daniels, from his mechanics to the way he operates, to just his overall demeanor. I've heard nothing but good things, and I like it so far. But again, it's May 14th, so take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly. And you know, the Jayden, I think the pick you're referring to specifically is the side-by-side of like the throwing motion, where, you know, Jayden's ball was like 40 yards downfield before Drake's left his hand. I think we all kind of knew that Jayden maybe was more pro ready right now to play than Drake. Of course, I was team Drake for the most of the offseason. So I'm not ready to take an L just yet, because again, my thing was all about, you know, the end, the finished product rather than like day one. But yeah, the early returns on Jayden are great when everybody's in their underwear. Mike, Eddie, I got a quick question for you. A little bit of bad news maybe on the curse of the second round picks, maybe continuing a little bit with Johnny Newton's foot. Not the one he had surgery on in February, but the other one is now got the same injury. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, I think much like most fans, it's disappointing in the sense that not only have we already gone through this with Fedarian Mathis, but when we picked Mr. Newton, there were other available suitors for other positions of need that would have just made more sense. And so now to make this move, and then we're going, okay, we're going to ride with him. We're going to go with, you know, because this guy's coming from Frisco, and he, you know, we got all this hype and expectation. Let's see. Okay. Well, okay. Now he's out for the season. To try to do any kind of silver lining, hopefully this guy really buys into the NFL lifestyle, the positive side that is, and, you know, focuses on diet, gets really healthy, kind of gets a mental and kind of like an outside of body experience, like as far as seeing what should be done. Also, the other silver lining, at least from the early reports that I'm understanding, he does not have a Liz Frank injury. This was a Jones injury. I don't I don't necessarily think I want an injury named after me. That's probably not a good thing, but I'm wondering how we came about all that. Anywho, the Jones injury, I believe it like has to do with your pinky, your metacarpal or metatarsal. Sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. It connects your pinky toe to the rest of the foot. And so it typically happens when you're planting and your foot is kind of going in one direction and maybe you're kind of, doing that agile thing. I guess more of like a crossover. But yeah, hopefully because it happened this early, he's all in for week 1. I mean, I trying to put a positive spin on it.
Yeah. So I went whitewater rafting a few years ago, and
Okay.
one of the tour guide was kind of like, yeah, if
Real
you
quick,
see something, oh, go ahead.
were you guys drinking Mountain Dews?
No, I
Okay.
don't touch the stuff.
I just feel like that would be something you would be doing, like, yeah, Mountain Dew,
whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So the tour guide was very clear on like if there's lots of rocks here that are named after people, and lots of jetties that are named after people, and lots of rapids.
No.
And when that's the case, it's not because of a good thing. So, yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing with injuries. Yeah, I think the slight silver lining is it is very early in the off season, and the left foot is healing somewhat quickly. And the right foot being a problem, they're going to get that taken care of this week. So hopefully all is well. But second round picks and this team have not done well in recent years. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on. Go ahead, Mike.
The pick, it initially pissed me off. And then I saw his highlights. I read up on them like, oh, man, this is wonderful. Yeah, go Newton, go Johnny. Then his injury, and you're like, what is the other foot? Like, come on, man. Like, this can't be happening to another second round pick at defensive tackle. And that's why I was pissed. I was telling Eddie on our last episode, the only reason I was pissed about the pick had nothing to do with the player, had everything to do with the position. You're paying 2 defensive tackles top 10 money already. You already drafted the defensive tackle. You got John Ridgway as a fourth or third option. Yeah, fourth option, I'm sorry. Why did you draft a 5th defensive tackle? And I hope I look so stupid in a couple of years when Newton's destroying the league. But as of today, it's the one speck of dirt on this Peters Quinn era so far. And I know it's early, but as far as team construction, that's what really pissed me off about the pick. But like I said, I'm hoping I'm eating humble pie in 2025.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because Cooper DeJean was there. Kool-Aid McKinstry was there. Those are kind of like some sexier names in the secondary. I think people would have liked to have seen that move. Maybe, we even try to do something at linebacker. But I'm willing to ride with the Peters general manager cohort. It's the first go round.
That's actually
like back.
That was the next question I was going to ask you, Eddie. Was you said there were other options there better. You're a Cooper DeJean guy because I think was it Ellie or I can't remember if it was Ellie or Mike. It was a big Cooper DeJean guy. I'm not a big Cooper guy personally.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
I see a lot of Troy
I like him,
Cooper DeJean, but
I didn't say all that.
I don't know. I'm certainly not trying to hate on the young man. He's talented to, at least even have the opportunity to be drafted. He had to do something, but I guess it's like sort of a double-edged sword for me with the Big Ten. When I'm looking at like maybe defensive linemen, offensive linemen, I'm thinking, okay, they play in cold weather. They're kind of seasoned in like a variety of different circumstances that they play in. I got to be honest, man. And I know, like, I get it. I think it's because it's a white dude, but like, he's not playing quote unquote, like a white dude. So, what was the cat we had back in the day? He was from Iowa as well. Matt something.
Matt Bowen. Yeah.
Yeah. He was an Iowa defensive back. Now he was a safety, a little bit more of like your line of scrimmage, rush the passer safety. McKinstry, I mean, hey, look, Mike will tell you, I love these guys coming from big time programs because there's a certain pedigree, a winning tradition, just a level of excellence that I would hope would transcend. Hadn't happened for us yet because we've got a lot of Alabama guys. But I would have been fine with either of that. I would have been fine with us maybe even like taking a little bit of a shot at a receiver. going somebody young with some speed. I wouldn't have minded that. But I'm so willing to just say, hey, you know what? Let this guy have at least one draft, maybe more. See what happens.
Yeah, Cooper. I'm a little. I'm a big fan of the Sandersville pick. So I don't. At the time of the Johnny Newton pick, again, it was very like really we took a defensive tackle, but then immediately you look is like this dude really was a very highly rated tackle, and all of the defensive tackle rather, all the offensive tackles that I was interested in, like I really thought Jordan Morgan would be a guy that would be there at 36, and I was all in on taking Jordan Morgan, but he was gone. Xavier Legette was a big. I was a big Legette guy at receiver, so he was also gone.
Yeah.
So I ended up being okay with the Newton picture. I was kind of thinking Kool-Aid was going to be the pick there. Honestly, Cooper DeJean just, again, I think I'm along the same lines of you as it's a white dude. And I just, white corners, much love to Jason Sehorn, but I see Troy Apke, honestly, with Cooper DeJean. I think he's stiff, always have. I don't know how well he's going to translate to the NFL at corner. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's a Philadelphia Eagle. So by default, he sucks, right?
Yeah.
Anything else jump out to you guys football wise from the news over the weekend about the rookie mini camps?
I've heard Brandon Coleman looks the part. Like he looks like an offensive tackle. He's imposing. He's big. He's moving decently for a tackle. I know a lot of us had concerns because he started a lot at offensive guard, but again, take it with a grain of salt. He's looking good. I also heard some good things about what's his McGahee, the linebacker Jordan. I can't remember his last name.
Jordan McGee.
Oh, it's McGee. I said McGahee. I'm tripping. Jordan McGee. They said he's looking good too, and honestly, that was like the two biggest concerns outside of quarterback, maybe offensive tackle and linebacker. So hearing that our mid-round lower picks are looking like offensive linemen and linebackers, this is a step in the right direction.
Okay. As an avid 1067 The Fan listener, which I would surmise that almost all us DMV DC sports fans probably subscribe to, I get a lot of my information from there. So and they're from various journalists they have on. It's not just the actual host of said show. Anywho, I'm hearing that just a lot of the typical like leadership stuff that you expect out of a quarterback is coming out of Daniels, where he's getting guys up at 5:30 to, just do simple pass routes, pass and catch type stuff. And to have a rookie kind of be able to say what?
He's doing that now?
I believe he was doing it like pre-camp.
Oh,
is what I was to understand. Another thing which you kind of said without saying when talking about the comparison between Drake May and Jayden Daniels, a lot of praise on the quick release and just leadership qualities in general. And then another one, I don't quite know how to say this because it's it's almost like it's like we upgraded. Think of like a video game or anything where like our character, like we got all the accessories and whatever. JP Finley couldn't stop talking about how when we had the Patriots for like a scrimmage way back when in Richmond, and he was like, everybody just looked huge. And he was like, I kind of feel like that's us now. He was like, we look big. And I'll take it. If we're the Monstars or whatever, I'll take it. It's just kind of nice to like hear more positivity and just upbeat type of vibes. But Mike did hit the nail right on the head. It's May. It's May.
One more thing real quick from minicamp that I like. That little pad race that they do to start the practice. Oh, I love that because it's getting the coaches ready for practice. Like I was paying more attention to the coaches than the actual race. Like Ryan Kerrigan, Ryan Kerrigan's body transformation from the NFL to right now, he looks like a completely different person, but he looks so healthy and happy. But he had the biggest smile on the sideline during that race. Like I had to take a screenshot and save the picture because he was so genuinely like happy to see them competing. And that's the one thing, like, I'm grateful so far for the Dan Quinn regime. They said that they was going to come in, have everybody competing. Adam Peters said you're going to feel less come week 1, pause. And yeah, like, and we have to keep saying this, maybe, like, we're probably going to be saying this until week 3 or 4 or whatever. But it's the truth. Like, we've been burnt so bad in the past. We can't fully enjoy the off season because we don't know. I mean, we do know what's happened so far over the last 2 decades. We've been crushed. So yeah, it's nice to see good things, but until these things start producing actual good results, we're gonna be not optimistic, pessimistic. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Ryan Kerrigan looks like, he looks great, but he looks like he actually knows what a cheeseburger tastes like now, as opposed to what he did as a pro. Like, he was like the Incredible Hulk, and now he's just like kind of got a little bit of a dad bod, and that's not a bad thing because that's I like cheeseburgers too. I get it, Ryan. So a lot was made in certain circles about a shirt that was worn by Coach Quinn this weekend with the Commander's current logo with the little feathers attached to it as a kind of a throwback. The team disavowed it. Dan Quinn has since retracted on it. A lot of people a lot of people like PFT, I think, was the only one that really seemed to care about it. But any thoughts on the logo and what that could mean in the future, or how dumb the backlash towards it was, or are you Team Commanders all the way? Judging by the gear you're rocking, I think I know the answer to this question.
Like, I'm every team name all the way. Like, I remember when they first dropped the Redskins name, and I was like, I'll never wear both logos or different logos together or whatever. Man, catch me with a Commanders hat with the Redskins jersey, the football team lanyard. Like, I'm rocking all 3 names. I get the emotional attachment to the name, and I understand why everybody either A, wants it back or hates the Commander's name. But I told Eddie, I don't know if I told him on the show or over the phone or whatever, as long as Washington is still the first name, I honestly don't care. I'm a rep them as long as they could have been the Washington Cucamonga Cracker Killers or whatever. Like, I would have still rooted for the team. Like, I don't care.
Cucamonga Cracker Killers is actually better than Commanders, not gonna lie. It's coming from
Shout
a
out
white dude.
next Friday.
Yeah.
So for me, growing up, having family, getting to watch really the last Super Bowl. I'm not gonna like front and be like I seen them all, but I did get just a glimpse of the glory days. I certainly didn't want the name to change, but I would like to believe I'm a progressive person. So I'm kind of like, all right, well, this is what we got to do. We don't want to offend people. And then, obviously the big kicker was that like money was involved. Obviously, that's the way it always is. Like the sponsorship and the funding was starting to go away. It's like, all right, got to do something. Not a fan of the Commander's name. I was obviously hoping for like a Warriors or something like that, but then they didn't want to do anything tribal or whatever. As far as Dan Quinn's shirt, the story that I was hearing is like, and I kind of feel like Hard Knocks, and I'll get to that in a second, like kind of leads into like what I'm about to say. These days everybody's got their own t-shirt business and they're printing shirts, or there's a screen print. I go to Potomac Mills Mall all the time, and there's a company that like that's pretty much all they do. You walk up, they have designs, you can pick one and you can put it with these words and that color and whatever. Somebody made the shirt and probably gave it to him for free. And he's like, oh, cool, I'll rock this. And allegedly that's a thing like amongst the coaching staff, like a lot of like the what do you call them? The like the trainers, like the weight trainers, the medical trainers.
Bro, the team themselves have the the T print thing. That's how they've been making those. Like, the strength and conditioning team always has the different shirts than the other. So they themselves probably could have made it, but I see what you're saying.
Well, and I remember a Hard Knocks, and I mean, God, this is like I've fallen off of that show. I used to actually kind of really be into it, but I think it was one of the years the Rams were on it, and it was like an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, and he had all these different shirts that he had made. but they weren't NFL shirts. They were Rams, and they like had like it was these own like cool logos he made, and he was just tossing them out to teammates. It could have been something like that. I think the logo was cool. I do understand the problem because like that name's not coming back. Josh Harris has come out and made statements saying so much. But I think people like in the back of their minds, whether they've seen too many movies or whatever, they're like, you're saying they're Lloyd Christmas. You're saying there's a chance. That's what they're doing because it is a new owner and the chance of rebranding it's strong.
Yeah, the chance
rebranding is strong.
Yeah, going back to the Redskins name is a non-starter. That's never going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Personally, I'm a little bit torn on this because first of all, like I get the problem that I had with it is that you're starting a new era in DC. You've got a brand new quarterback, you've got a brand new front office, you've got everything brand new, fresh start. And that should be the focus. But because of the shirt, now people, have shifted their focus a little bit to the name. It's gone back to that. And I don't like that. That said, that logo was fire. It was that was the best Commanders logo. Like it was great. It was a great shirt. I would wear it. And I think if they started selling that, if they haven't already, it would make a ton of money and probably be one of the top selling pieces of merch. Two, the people that get up in arms about it are the people with the loudest voices who are probably in the minority. Again, we've seen multiple surveys that come out where like the majority of the people who actually matter, i.e. Native Americans, tend to not really either like the name or be ambivalent towards it and aren't really offended. They don't care either way. Whereas a small segment of people from the Upper West Side of New York really get upset about it. But unfortunately, they're the ones with the platform and kind of make the biggest stink about it. Again, I don't think the name, obviously the name's never coming back. It's just not. But I think the logo is great. And I don't see any problem with referring back to the history of the team because in my humble opinion, I don't think it was ever meant as a derogatory statement. And I don't think for the most part, it was ever really taken as a derogatory statement. There was a minority of Native Americans who were upset, but look at the protest. It was the same, 8 people that showed up to every one and that was it. And you go to reservations and you see people rocking the gear. It is what it is. But again, the big problem I have with it is it just kind of distracts from the new era that we're moving into. So probably an L just because of that, but a W because that was a pretty cool logo. OTA starting up this week, right? I think the coaches are back and some of the veteran players are showing up. Jahan Dotson kind of came out today and said that he was super excited that Jayden is the guy he would have drafted. Does Jahan have a future as a GM in the NFL?
Shoot, I don't see why not. And I think no, they actually practiced today. Today was the first day, and I saw a clip of a short pass from Daniels to McLaurin, and it got there pretty quickly. and then I saw him throwing the ball into the net, like that right there. Like Eddie mentioned it earlier with the quick release. It's not just getting the ball out quick. Like when he's getting it out, it's firing. Like it's
a little zip on it.
Yeah, like it's really. I didn't know he had that. I'll say that. Like I know his arm isn't the strongest. It's not like me or even Caleb Williams or whatever. But like those short passes, they get there quick. So I'm happy to see that. And I know it was raining today, but it seemed like everybody still was having, well, not a good time. It's work still, but like it was a good practice. Even in the rain, everybody seemed to look pretty good.
Don't they got a bubble now? They probably moved.
Yeah, but I mean, I think did they practice in the morning? Because I don't think it started raining until the afternoon. I think they may have gotten in enough practice where the rain came towards the end or something. But I did see them. I saw them outside today. I did not see them in the bubble like last week.
Outside. Yeah, Jahan Dotson saying that Jayden Daniels is who he would have drafted. That he just wants more passes thrown his way. I don't believe him one bit. He said that now that the guy's already on his team. I'm kidding. I mean, I think a lot of people wanted Jayden Daniels, so we got him. Let's do something with him.
Yeah, regarding the zip that you said you saw on the ball, one thing that we looked at when we sat back and watched that game on the podcast a few months ago, the Alabama game, you could take note, and I think it was you that actually noted it, Mike, where his lower body is he uses his lower body so well in his passes, he gets so low, and that's really the kicker, and that's sort of a way to compensate for the perceived. Now, when you say he doesn't have the strongest arm, he doesn't have the strongest arm, but it's not like he doesn't have an arm that can. He doesn't have. He certainly has an NFL level arm, but his usage of his legs and his throwing mechanics accentuate and really maximize everything that he has as a passer.
You know, when I knew he was unique and maybe could be different, we all kept hearing people say he doesn't have the strongest arm. We even said it ourselves. But we would turn around and almost immediately say he has the best deep ball. Usually those two kind of go hand in hand. But it reminds me, it was a lot of things that I didn't like about Jason Campbell. But the thing that I hated the most, he had a strong arm. That man had no touch on his deep passes. Like, there was absolutely no touch. I remember the Monday night game versus the Eagles, where he had Santana wide open and completely overthrew him. And that was kind of like a theme when it comes to his deep passes. So, yeah, like, it's not, Daniels doesn't have that strong arm, but the fact that everybody and their mom says that he has the deep passes, the best deep pass ability from the rookie quarterbacks coming into the league this year, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, throwing mechanics are a wonderful tool. Like, they really do a lot to compensate for arm strength, any kind of deficiency that you have. Because Campbell had a cannon of an arm, but his throwing mechanics, I think everybody can agree, his throwing mechanics were never great. Part of that was he just never had consistent coaching, unlike what Daniels has had.
Hard to throw from your back too.
Yeah, exactly. And arm strength comes into play really when it comes to the off schedule stuff, when you're throwing off platform, when you're moving and you have to force a throw, when you don't get your feet under you. That's where somebody like an Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes, really, that's where they shine, is when they can make those throws. So are we going to see that from Jayden? My concern with Jayden all off season has been, does he really make off schedule throws, or does he just take off running? Remains to be seen how it's going to work out in the NFL. Hopefully he can develop that aspect of his game, because we certainly didn't see a ton of it. We saw a little bit of it in college. So I'm not going to say he never did it. He certainly did move from the pocket and throw a couple of times, but has not really been identified as a strong part of his game yet. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to throw something out real quick. I don't want to derail the show or anything. What do people expect when they're talking about not a strong arm? Because I'm going to throw some quick examples out. Well, I'll throw one for one side and then the other. Like, I think Drew Brees was a phenomenal quarterback. I think most people would say that. I've kind of heard people hint, and this is sometimes where I'm in a weird space as a sports fan. I've heard people hint that he didn't have a strong arm, but I watched that man throw deep to a bunch of different people. His arm looks strong enough to me. Now, I understand the measurement for that might be a Patty Mahomes, maybe a Josh Allen, an Aaron Rodgers. I'm starting to draw blanks after that, but that doesn't mean I don't think Joe Burrow doesn't have a good arm, Herbert, Lamar, who else? Tom Brady. Where do we put him in the strong arm category? Because he's the GOAT, ain't he? So I don't mean to derail the show, but it's the same thing as the throwing across the middle. He didn't have to throw across the middle, and technically, by definition, he did throw across the middle because there's a lot of deep middle passes. I don't know what people want. I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Mike will tell you I do this sometimes. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I do too. And Ellie's not here, so we can go off the rails as much as we want, because he's the principal, and we're just
Black Sabbath, crazy trains.
Yeah, we're the flunkies over here. Yeah, again, I think that's a good point. I think Brees, but again, you remember Brees, you remember honestly Brady, how well they operated from the pocket, but when they went, their superpowers, specifically Brees and Brady, were their abilities to. They know where they're going with the ball before the defense is even fully lined up. They know exactly what they're doing with the ball. That's almost like the precognition they had compensated for the fact that maybe if they had to go off schedule, and I look at somebody like, an example is Jared Goff, because he doesn't necessarily have it at that level. If you force Jared, his weakness right now is if you force him off of his spot, if you take him out of his rhythm, you're going to beat him because he just doesn't make those throws. Because his identification isn't quite where it needs to be, whereas those guys were. So you can compensate for maybe not being able to make those off-platform throws. I don't think anybody ever had a question about Brady's arm strength, but again, he didn't really have to throw off schedule very much. Breeze didn't do a lot of off-schedule throws. When you're that well versed in what you're doing, you don't have to make off-schedule throws because you can beat pretty much anything they throw at you. Whereas Goff, he's got all the tools. He just doesn't necessarily have that ability to know where it's coming. And a lot of that may have to do with like Sean Payton telling him exactly what to do in his helmet right before the ball was snapped for the first like 4 or 5 years of his career. So yeah, there's a lot to that point. So, there's much more to it than just arm strength, but arm strength is like the one thing you can't teach. Go ahead, Mike. I know you had some knowledge to drop.
Yeah, because I don't want to forget it, because Eddie was saying something when he brought up Drew Brees. I was going to bring it up, but I was like, nah. And then you started talking about the decision making, but only because I said something about Logan Paulson earlier, and I didn't want to just keep bringing up what he said. But what you were saying, what both of you were saying, goes perfectly with what he said that he saw from Daniels at the rookie minicamp. He says he does a great job at reading not only pre-snap, but after the initial second, he knows when the play is dead and he needs to go to the check down quickly. And he brought up Tom Brady, Eddie. He brought up Brady and said that's the one thing that Brady was the master at. If he knows that this play is a bad play and they're going to lock it down, it's out to the check down immediately. And that getting it out that quicker can give the check down person an extra 1 or 2 yards to operate with in the space, and that's pretty good. And instead of a sack or incomplete, you're looking at maybe a 7-yard pass from the check down. Paulson said that Daniels is good at reading the defense and coming to that conclusion quickly. And with the quick release, I'm trying not to get excited, but it's hard not to when you're hearing stuff like this for real.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking by my name here where you put me as King Bama. I think that's pretty funny.
He did. I thought you did that.
I didn't do. I don't have any control over that. I just typed my name.
Could that be from the last
you
time?
Over here with your anime stuff? You're the calm before the storm, Shigaraki Mike.
Calm before the storm.
Oh, excuse me.
It's OTAs, bro. It's OTAs.
Some of that Richmond Highway reading right there. Route 1.
Uh-oh. Yeah, those are a lot of good points regarding arm strength. I think, one thing I've seen is that the guys who have the ability to diagnose and the guys who have the ability to read the defense at elite level are the ones who play until they're 40. Whereas the guys who are more physically gifted but never quite develop in that the ones that are a little bit over reliant on their physical gifts, once they hit their early 30s and that starts to wane, those are the guys. And I think back to guys like Donovan McNabb, or going way back to the day like Jim Everett back in the old days. And I kind of see that coming a little bit maybe with Josh Allen.
Call him Chris.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to say. You mean Chris?
Yeah. So
Jim Rome's favorite quarterback.
Exactly. That was a very fun thing to watch. It was enjoyable watching somebody get put in their place. But yeah, those guys kind of struggle when they move into Thursday. And I see that a little bit coming maybe with Josh Allen, where when his gifts start to wane, much like Cam Newton, when he's, when he couldn't just run over everybody or just throw it through a wall anymore, what do you have to fall back on? And that's when those fundamentals, that's when the mental part of the game really comes into play. So you see a guy like a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or a Warren Moon. And so the outlier there is Brett Favre, who just maintained his physical gifts until he was like in his late 30s. He could still rely on that forever. Where it's once he went to the Jets and the Vikings, it's really went downhill. But he played for a very long time relying. He's the only person I remember playing like at age 38 that could still get away with that. But most of the other guys, like the Breezes, the Bradys, Marino, Warren Moon, those guys, those are the guys that could play forever because they just knew the position mentally. Hopefully, Jayden's that guy. I want to see it. So yeah, I really want Jayden to be that guy. I know it was a little rough on him early in the off season, but like I said, once we drafted him, that's my guy. I'm all in on him. So I just hope that everything works out. He stays healthy and just becomes the top notch quarterback that he's capable of being. And again, I think he is the most NFL ready coming out of the class. So I think early returns on Jayden are going to be really good. And I wish the best for guys like Drake May and Caleb Williams, of course, and the other guys, Bo Nix and Penix and all that good stuff. But anyway, Eddie, I'm rambling now. We've hit the 35-minute mark. I guess it's time. This is when Ellie would say final thoughts. So Eddie, you got any final thoughts on the OTAs or anything Commanders related?
I did remember hearing that Daniels threw a pick today.
Oh, he's cut.
But
Sam
no, hear me out.
Hartman season.
No. Yeah, right. Bust out the Pert Plus hair commercials, right? Hartman. There's your spot. No, but I bring that up because I was actually in my car, and I think it was B. Mitch and Finley show, and they were like kind of reporting on it live, like they watched it and said it happened. I have not seen anything blowing that up on social media. Do you know what I mean? Like I kind of feel like in the past, for some reason or another, just with our sort of dark cloud hanging over us, that would have been made like oh look. I feel like a lot of the post Snyder era is a lot less negative. We're not being so harsh. It is May though, so that's where I'm at.
Yes, we fans are a fickle lot. So first time he throws a pick in a regular season game, I think everybody's going to call him RG4. So hopefully we can delay that for a little while longer. Mike, you got anything? Any final thoughts for the week?
The schedule releases tomorrow. I haven't heard any leaks or anything yet for the Commanders. I know that the Chiefs and Ravens are opening up the season. That kind of sucks. I wanted to open it up versus Baltimore. But I mean, it is what it is. So just enjoy that. And we are going to be back next week. Oh, and me and Eddie, we're going to drop something this weekend. Talk about basketball and stuff. But if y'all not into that, just stick with Commanders Declassified.
The NFL is a year-round thing. Everybody knows that, and they've done a really good job at it. But one thing they have never swayed me to have any interest in is the schedule release. I could not be less interested in the release in who. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't care. But it'll be something to talk about next week when we need something to talk about. And as Mike alluded to, sports combos with Eddie and Mike. How often do you guys drop those?
Once a week on the weekends.
Every weekend
Friday through Sunday. Yeah.
And you guys
try once a week. We try, but I have multiple kids and a wife and a girlfriend on the side. I'm kidding. I don't have a girlfriend.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa. I'm working and working once I get home too. So
that's so Eddie and Mike. What Eddie and Mike are saying is every weekend, 6 a.m. Saturday on the dot, they drop an episode. 100%. You guys talk Wizards, you talk Caps, you talk Commanders, you talk Nationals, Mystics, DC United, Washington Freedom. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something. Yeah.
That's about to say, Castles. You lost me. You lost me at Freedom. You lost me at Freedom. I'm not Craig Hoffman. No, I'm joking.
No, it's all good. Yeah. So check out the Sports Combos with Eddie and Mike podcast. In addition to Commanders Declassified, you can always like and subscribe right here. You can catch us on all of your favorite podcatchers: Amazon, Apple, Spotify, all the good ones. It's probably some of the bad ones too. I don't even know. We got the YouTube channel. Give us a like and subscribe. You've got our Twitter handles right there. As if I ever log into Twitter, I don't. But Mike and Ellie are all over the Twitters. We got a Facebook page. We got probably a MySpace. Like Tom is our only friend, but we got all the good stuff going on there. Commanders Declassified, commanders247.com. You can literally find us anywhere. There is no excuse not to listen to us. And we drop every Wednesday morning. So check us out as well. And until next week, I want to bid you farewell. Peace out, guys.
Adios and vio con Dios.